Tell the committee and Canadians how much we're spending or projected to spend on interest on the debt this upcoming fiscal year? Just looking for the number.
Let me just say, because I think it's important to put things in context, that in both...
Minister, my time is very limited. I'm asking if you know the number. You have a lot of officials beside you. Will you tell Canadians how much we're going to spend on servicing the debt next year?
Here's what I think, that it's really important to put numbers in context. Without context, numbers are meaningless. Our debt service charges are low in Canada's historical context.
May 17th, 2023 update. The skies of the Okanagan have turned to smoke. In fact, I can't even go out hiking to the top of the mountain here as planned because the smoke is so bad it smells like cigarettes. Even though that's not the topic of this video, we got to keep in mind that arson, these fires are started by humans. It's that simple, guys. There are statistics every year about the annual amount of fires per province, and those amount of fires are pretty consistent throughout the last decade. You know, here you have 300 fires started by this, and the rest are started by arson. And so we've already exceeded the amount of fires that would be started naturally in Alberta. And I'm speaking of Alberta specifically, where there's 130, 100, maybe 150 fires ongoing right now in May, which is unheard of. And here in the Okanagan, yeah, the sun is completely blocked out, as you can see in the background. See, smoky skies, guys, smoky skies. But anyways, that's for another video update. Today we're talking about Chrystia Freeland, and she was recently a witness to answer questions for the House of Commons as finance minister. It's her job to deal with Canada's financing. I know, it's a very sad world we live in. And so Conservative MP Adam Chambers asked her, how much would Canadian taxpayers be paying, and how much interest will we pay on the federal debt for the current fiscal year? And the fiscal year is, April 1st to March 31st. So how much debt are we in, and how much interest are we paying on that debt? Simple question that is written down, but for some reason Chrystia Freeland can't answer the question, or she doesn't want to say the answer out loud. She doesn't want it out. She doesn't want it reverberating around.
In historical context, and they are low compared to what our peers in the G7
Thank you for the context. What's the gross dollar value we're going to spend on interest on the debt next year?
And let me again, I really am opposed to fiscal fear-mongering by the Conservatives. And so the important point to make for Canadians is that in historic context, our debt service charges are reasonable and sustainable.
$43.9 billion just towards interest, zero debt being paid this fiscal quarter. That could be going towards things that Canadians actually need, like real healthcare systems. And instead, they just waste it and waste it and waste it and just keep spending money and increase the debt. So next year it's going to be $1.3 trillion, because the $24 billion is not going towards the debt. It's just interest. It's just like the housing, the mortgage crisis that's happening to many people in variable rate fixed payments. Their fixed payments are all interest, and it doesn't even cover all the interest. So then their interest, their debt, their borrowing is increasing, which then ends up with their defaulting their house back to the bank when the house doesn't gain in value at the same time.
Respectfully,
and
Minister, you're
lower than they have been in many previous years. That's why S&P reaffirmed our AAA rating.
I'm asking, will you tell Canadians how much we're spending on the debt? It's in black and white in your book. Do you just not want to say?
I think that it's important to put all numbers in context.
Thank you, Minister. I'll move to the next question.
And do you not agree that in historic context, our debt service charges are absolutely handleable?
So, as you have seen, Freeland is absolutely ridiculous and just playing the Trudeau-Freeland game of not answering the question, doubling down on rhetoric, double talk, whatever you want to call it. And Freeland comes back at him and accusing him of fear-mongering our debt service charges as are low in Canada's historical context. And they are low compared to what our peers in the G7, said. The G7 again, the US, Canada, Germany, France, these companies companies of countries that are working together to run this agenda 2030 and the WEF as agenda. So again, we're just asking, or the MP for the Conservatives just asking the finance minister about a number that is in her budget to be delivered to Parliament in March. What is the number? What is the Canadian taxpayers are going to pay? And sorry, it's $43.9 billion this year. $43.9 billion on interest on the federal debt, which is $1.2 trillion. And that number is going to rise every year up until the last year where there was an estimate anyways, which was 2027, 2028 fiscal year when will be around $50.3 billion on $1.5 to $1.3 trillion worth of debt. Now, instead of answering the question, what Freeland said is that it's important to consider the number and historical context that is a historical context of the level of interest payments on debt is sustainable, that Canada can continue to do that on this issue. Canada is the best performer in the G7 countries, etc., etc. Oh yeah, which also includes Germany and Italy, United Kingdom, France. So basically, in context, it isn't concerning her, except she never mentioned the number or other things, that are important. Anyways, guys, that's your quick update on Freeland avoiding another question, but a very serious aversion. It's her double talk is unbelievable. Irnieracing News.